Okay, so I will now go to the 12th point, the 12th topic of discussion. It's a very beautiful subject, the reality of Buddha nature. Okay, so the reality of Buddha nature. If you want to study along with me, you can go to chapter 2 of the book, Simple Teachings on Emptiness and Buddha Nature by Yosho Sensei. It's in chapter 2, page 15. Okay, I will have it here. Simple Teachings. Let's go to page 15. If you want to study along. Okay, before going into this, I will have to do a little commentary. Is that, of course, we have the notion of samsara, but remember that samsara, according to the Buddha Dharma, is like a dream. It's not real. But the fact that something is not real is not that everything in Buddhism is like a fantasy, or that everything is worthless. You see, it's very important to understand that saying these kind of things is actually falling into the pitfall or the wrong view of nihilistic emptiness. There are many Buddhists nowadays, especially in Zen and many other traditions, that they say that everything is worthless, like everything is illusion, even Buddhas are illusion. So if you ever hear this, be very careful, because this is not the true Dharma. You see, actually, the Buddha himself explained in the Nirvana Sutra, yes, and I hope that you can read the Nirvana Sutra or some passages, because it's very long, but the Tathagata Sutra especially, there you will see that Shakyamuni Buddha himself did this point of view, that many of his disciples, they misunderstood his words when he was speaking about the false nature of samsara. Yes, samsara is false, but the objective of the Buddha Dharma is to point towards true reality, towards something that is truly beautiful, alive, and compassionate at wise, and actually is the jewel of Buddha nature. Yes. So we see many passages like the Tathagata Sutra, which I will try to explain and read, in which Shakyamuni Buddha explains that Buddha nature is like a jewel, like a treasure inside the heart of all sentient beings. And this jewel, we cannot see it because it is covered by dust, covered by garbage. Okay, but the fact that we clean this jewel, yes, we try to clean it, and it will shine again. Yes, and this jewel will have many beautiful qualities. Like, for example, you hold a jewel in front of your eyes, and you can put it in the sun, and it can illuminate the whole room. So it has qualities. Okay, but some Buddhists, they obsess over the cleansing, and they say that, okay, the garbage, and they will throw the jewel as well, and they will. That would, of course, be wrong, no? Because the jewel has value. So in this case, the Buddha nature is indeed uncreated, undestroyed, and it is not created by the process. It already exists. It is pure on itself. It has millions of enlightened qualities. Yes, and it is actually only covered by kleshas. Okay, so the reason why we cannot
kleshas. Wait a second. When you use the term, please explain what is kleshas.
Kleshas are the mental poisons. Okay, of which there are many varieties, but basically the kleshas are the mental impurities of greed, anger, and ignorance. So when you remove the kleshas, or remove the mental impurities, it's like removing dust from a jewel. Yeah, you blow on it, and then you will see the jewel. Okay, so the objective of Buddhism is to discard the false self, and in order not to get to get empty-handed, yes, but to discover something that is truly worthwhile. Okay. Another example that Shakyamuni Buddha gives is like to have, like, so for example, you live in a house that is very poor, but beneath the ground you see a treasure. You cannot see the treasure because it is covered by layers and layers of mud and garbage. But if you remove the garbage and the mud, you will get the treasure. Okay. Okay, but first I want to quote the sutras, because it is very important to see what the Buddha himself said. Okay, so if you go to page 15 in the book Simple Teachings on Emptiness, Buddha Nature, which is actually the standard way in which we at Amidaji lineage explain this topic of Buddha nature and emptiness. So if you have doubts about this topic, please read this book, because it has hundreds of passages from many masters, from Jodo Shinshu, but also from the Tibetan tradition and on the Mahayana in general. Okay, so if you go to the Tathagata Garbha Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha said, yes, there appeared in the sky a countless number of 1,000-petal lotus flowers as large as chariot wheels, yes, filled with colors and fragrances that one could not begin to enumerate. In the center of each flower was a conjured image of a Buddha. The flowers rose and covered the heavens like a Ratna banner, each flower giving forth countless rays. The petals all simultaneously unfolded their splendor, and then through the Buddha city, yes, or power, all withered in an instant. Within the flowers, all the Buddha images sat cross-legged in the lotus position, and each issued forth countless hundred thousands of rays. Yes, the adornment of the spot at the time was so miraculous that the whole assembly rejoiced and danced ecstatically. In fact, it was so very strange and miraculous that all began to wonder why all the countless wonderful flowers should suddenly be destroyed. As they withered and darkened, the smell they gave off was foul and loathsome. Yes, then Shakyamuni Buddha explained, Kulaputras or noble sons. No? Here is a comparison that can be drawn between the countless flowers conjured up by the Buddha that suddenly withered and the innumerable conjured Buddha images with their many adornments, seated in the lotus position within the flowers, who cast forth light so exceedingly rare that there was no one in the assembly who did not show reverence. In a similar fashion, noble sons, when I regard all beings with my Buddha eye, I see that hidden within the blind passions, kleshas, blind passions or the mental poisons of greed, confusion, and hatred, no? 3 poisons, and obscuration, there is seated augustly and unmovingly the Tathagata Jnana, the wisdom of the Tathagata vision, and the Tathagata Kaya, the ultimate body of Tathagata Buddha. Noble sons, all beings, though they find themselves with all sorts of blind passions, kleshas, or the way we call it in Japanese, bono, blind passions, have a Tathagata Garbha that is eternally unsullied. Yes, that is, unsullied means undisturbed or unaffected. That is replete with virtues not different from my own. Okay, so this is a very huge passage. Well, I think that the meaning is very clear. You see, so that means that inside each sentient being there is a true self. Yes, there is a true, fully enlightened Buddha that is uncreated and undestroyed. You see, the same way that the sun is covered by clouds. Yeah, when you remove the clouds, you see the sun, but the sun was already there. You see, so the fact that you remove the clouds doesn't mean that you are creating the sun. Do you see what I mean? The fact you open the window doesn't create the sun that comes through the window. The sun was already there. The only thing was that you weren't able to see it. Okay. So in the same way, Shakyamuni Buddha is trying to explain that beneath, yes, all these layers of kleshas, of mental impurities, yes, poisons, yes, beyond of all of that, there is something that is truly pure and truly beautiful, wise, and compassionate, and that is truly alive, and it wasn't created by you. Yes, that is, it cannot be created by anyone. Okay, it's actually something that is pure from the beginning, and the only thing you have to do is to remove all the impurities, and then the jewel of enlightenment will come forth. Yes, so in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, this is explained by Shakyamuni Buddha himself, and he says, non-self, or the false self, not the true self, is samsara. The self, or the true self, is the Tathagata. Okay, so the objective of all the Buddha Dharma is to remove the false self, that is samsara, yeah, the false visions of samsara, and to discover the true self, which is the Tathagata, Buddha. Okay, speaking in ultimate terms, as Joshua Sensei says in the book, we are not samsara, because samsara is not true, but actually we are concealed Buddhas. Yes, we are not samsaric beings, but undiscovered Buddhas. Yes, this is our true self. Of course, we don't behave like Buddhas because we are, in this moment, we are possessed by blind passions. Okay, in the Lotus Sutra, actually, there is a beautiful analogy in which there is a prince, yes, that actually becomes has amnesia. He forgets. He becomes like crazy, yeah, and he goes out of the palace and he starts to begin to behave like a vagabond, to behave like a homeless person, and he begins to amass, to go for the streets begging and getting garbage from the streets. And then his father, the king, he goes on, he says, oh son, what are you doing? You are actually not a beggar, you are actually a king, you are actually a prince. What are you behaving like this? So the Buddhas see ourselves like the prince, you see? We're actually from the royalty of Buddhahood. All beings are actually royalty, are actually Buddhas or princes, let's call it. And the Buddhas are like, what the hell are you doing in samsara? Just you are not supposed to be here. You see. So this is our true nature. Is not samsara, but actually the true self of Buddhahood. Okay. Only that it is covered. It's covered by kleshas. So the objective of the Buddha Dharma is not to invent Buddhahood. We don't invent Buddhahood. We actually discover the perfection that was already there. This is very important. And this Buddha nature is not empty. Yes. Samsara is empty. The Buddha nature is only empty of blind passion. It's only empty of kleshas. Yes, empty of, is free from samsara, free from samsaric existence, free from samsaric poisons, free from samsaric mental state. It's actually full. In one sense, it's empty. It's free from samsara. Yes, it's empty of all poisons, but it is full with the elixir, or full with the nectar, to put it in poetic ways, filled with the nectar of enlightenment, filled with compassion, yes, filled with wisdom, filled with beauty, and filled with all kinds of powers. You see, so it is very wrong for Buddhists nowadays to say, "Oh yeah, like there is nothing." Yes. Even Buddhas are not real. If you hear something like this is actually an heresy. This is actually a very dangerous idea. You see, because actually Buddhas do exist. You see, and the Buddha nature is not false. It's actually true, and it is not dead. It is not inert. No, it is actually filled with beauty, filled with life, with true enlightened life. You see, and actually Shakyamuni Buddha himself in the Nirvana Sutra, he admonishes and he reprimands all of these false disciples who actually took emptiness and they misinterpreted emptiness. Shakyamuni Buddha was talking, yes, samsara is empty, but the Tathagata is not empty. It's only empty in one sense. It's empty of kleshas. It's free from kleshas, but it's actually filled with the beauty, the wisdom, and the compassion of the Tathagata, many millions of enlightened qualities, like we see, for example. We also see that Shakyamuni Buddha said in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, he said, self, or the true self, means the Tathagata Garbha. Every being has Buddha nature. This is the self. Such self has, from the very beginning, been under cover of innumerable defilements, of kleshas. Yes, that is why men cannot see it, or ordinary people cannot see it. So it's like you are living in a very poor house, but below this house, like 100 meters below the house, it is a great treasure. Yes, so you can be said to be at the same time you are rich and you are poor. Yes, you are poor because you don't see the treasure beneath your feet. Yes, yeah, you are poor because you don't see it, but you are also rich because you actually have a lot of a treasure to be found. But if you don't have an engineer, if you don't have someone who helps you discover this treasure, it is as though you are an ordinary poor person. Okay, so in our case, we have this treasure of Buddhahood inside, but since we cannot see it, yes, then we say that we are ordinary beings. But actually, from the perspective of the Buddhas who see our true nature, we are actually like the prince, no, like Buddhas to be discovered. Yes, we're actually Buddhas who are behaving like the crazy prince who goes outside the palace and thinks that he himself is a beggar, but he's not a beggar. It's actually a Buddha who has become mentally deranged. Yes, and actually the Buddhas see us like that, see us like crazy people. Yes, actually the Buddhas themselves call themselves doctors, because we are like mentally ill from their perspective. Yes, but actually beneath all of those false mental poisons, there is the true beauty, or the true nature, the true self of the Buddha, which is actually our true nature. Okay. Let me give you another example from the sutras. Shakyamuni Buddha himself says, yes, that this Buddha nature, it is like a store of treasure inside the house of an impoverished man. The owner is not aware of it. For a very long time, this treasure, it is buried in the darkness, and there is no one who can tell of its presence. Then Shakyamuni Buddha says, when you have this treasure, but you don't know of it. So you have this treasure, but you don't know of it when you are unenlightened. This causes poverty and suffering when you are subject to samsaric sufferings. So because we don't see Buddha nature, then we transmigrate in the 6 realms of samsaric existence. But when the Buddha, with Buddha eye, observes these sentient beings, it sees that although they transmigrate in samsara through the 5 gati, the 5 realms of samsaric existence, there is a great treasure in their bodies that is eternal and unchanging, which is the true self. Okay? So this Shakyamuni Buddha himself talking here. You see, he says that actually, the whole reason why we follow the Buddha Dharma is to discover this true Buddha nature. It's not like the Buddhas are asking us to see something that is not there or to create something that is not there. It's to see something that was perfect from the beginning. This is very important for us to understand. The fact that we remove the clouds of the chats, of the mental poisons, doesn't mean that we create Buddhahood, no? No different from the fact that when we remove clouds, we don't create the sun. The sun was already behind the clouds. The only thing that the Buddhas want us to do is to clean the things that we don't need, to actually recognize that these mental impurities are actually empty of themselves. Yes, this is very important for us to understand. Okay, actually, this will be covered in other questions that pertain to Buddha nature. Maybe we can explain them in future questions. Okay. Okay. Do you have something to comment, Yosho Sensei or Hosa? Do you have something to say, Yosho Sensei?
Yes, I just want to add that, of course, you both know this. After when we go to the Pure Land, in the very moment we enter the Pure Land through the gate of total faith in Amida Buddha, through the gate of the primal vow, those obscurations, those kleshas, those impurities that cover our Buddha and our innate Buddha nature are melt naturally like ice meeting fire. And our true Buddha nature is automatically revealed. So this is why we aspire to go to the Pure Land, and we don't try to attain enlightenment here. It's impossible to discover, to purify the kleshas, to destroy the kleshas, to destroy the impurities and obscurations and blind passions and illusions, and discover the Buddha nature here and now, because the environment in which we live is an impure environment, which is the karmic effect of our personal karma and collective karma. So to try to attain enlightenment here, to try to discover our Buddha nature here, is like putting is like putting ice in the snow. The ice will not melt because the snow is the perfect environment to preserve the ice. Okay, so samsara is the perfect environment to preserve our blind passions, while if we go to the Pure Land, is like putting snow into fire, into a big stove, and then, as I said, our innate Buddha nature is naturally revealed, you know, because the environment of the Pure Land is naturally destroying the blind passions, is naturally destroying and melting the obscurations and illusions and kleshas, you know. That's why we aspire to go to the Pure Land, and we don't try to attain enlightenment here and now. Yes, but this you will also explain in our next topics. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, thank you. It's very important for us to relate this to our Jodo Shinshu tradition because, of course, we want to go to the Pure Land in order to discover this Buddha nature that we cannot see here. Of course, samsara, another example that you give, and other of our teachers and masters of Shinshu tradition said, is like a seed. And I very much like this example. Actually, this is the reason why I chose this for the title of the book, a seed in Amida's hand. Yeah, because I very much like the example of the seed. We are in a field where we don't have the nutrients, yes, for us to become trees of enlightenment. However, the analogy of the seed is actually not quite true because the Buddha didn't say that there was a seed. Actually, there is a full enlightened Buddha beneath in our hearts, as the Tathagata Sutra says. So this is inconceivable for us. But in order for, as an expedient means, we can like a seed that doesn't have the nutrients to discover our Buddha nature. We need a proper environment. Even those who practice, according to the self-power traditions, they need a proper environment. Thing that Buddha did when he came to our world, he established a good environment for the monks to practice. You see, all of the great traditions of China and Japan, the first thing that the great teachers do is to establish a good temple, a good monastery, for you to disentangle yourself from mundane life and go to practice the Dharma. So in a way, they are establishing a good environment to practice. But this samsaric world of existence is not a good environment to practice. And Shakyamuni Buddha said this himself in the larger sutra. He said, however long you practice in this life, it is only for a short while. So there are many things to learn. Yes, even for those virtuous practitioners. Yes, maybe you attain to the first bhumi, second bhumi, but you still need to attain full enlightenment. Okay, so it's very important for us to go to the best place possible to discover our true nature. And as Joshua Sensei says, in our case, in Jodo Shinshu, we go to the Pure Land not to study, but to become fully enlightened Buddhas in the presence of Amida Buddha. And then all our kleshas will be met, and then we will become, actually, our nature will be revealed there. Nothing new will come. The only thing that will go away will be our kleshas. And then after the kleshas are gone, the true self will be discovered, yes, or revealed.
Yes. Because in the Pure Land, everything is conducive to enlightenment and to the discovery of Buddha nature, while in samsara, everything is conducive to more attachment, more illusion. Everything in samsara is an obstacle, because samsara is our collective dream, is our own dream. And it is very difficult to wake up yourself, by yourself, through yourself, from your own dream. It's very difficult, almost impossible in this dark age. So this is why we need to go to the Pure Land. Everything there, if you read the larger sutra, you will see that the trees, the water, and all the elements of the Pure Land, or the physical elements of the Pure Land, they are there to praise the Dharma, to turn your mind to the Dharma and to enlightenment. Once you go there, especially in the center of the Pure Land, or the fulfilled land of the Pure Land, as Shinran calls it, through the gate of the primal vow, you automatically become enlightened, and you automatically discover your Buddha nature. Yes.
Yes, indeed. The samsaric existence is the karmic effect or manifestation of our collective clash, of mental impurities, whereas the Pure Land is the manifestation of the enlightened mentality or the enlightened mind of Amida Buddha himself, no other, no?
Yes.
Okay, this is very important. Thank you, Sensei. Indeed, beautiful teaching. And of course, this is true, the true teaching on why we should be born in Amida Buddha's Pure Land.